On a quiet October night in Paris, the world's most famous museum, the Louvre became the stage for a real-life heist straight out of a movie. Within minutes, thieves vanished into the darkness with treasures once worn by French queens and empresses. Jewels that had survived revolutions, wars, and centuries of royal drama, and now they're gone. So today we're uncovering the forgotten stories behind each of those stolen jewels, the empresses who wore them, the love stories they witnessed, and the power they once symbolized. Welcome to History Behind the Stolen Jewels from Louvre Museum. The heist that shocked Paris. It was the morning of October 19th, 2025. When museum guards noticed something strange, the display cases in the Louvre's Galerie d'Apollon were shattered. Missing were 8 irreplaceable royal jewels, sapphire tiaras, emerald necklaces, and diamond brooches that had belonged to the very women who once shaped France's destiny. Investigators suspect a professional team, one that studied the museum's layout, evaded security systems, and struck between routine patrols. But while police search for clues, historians remind us that these jewels are more than just glittering stones. They're fragments of an empire. The tiara of Marie-Amélie of Naples and Sicily. Our first stolen treasure belonged to Marie-Amélie of Naples and Sicily. The last queen of France, a woman whose life read like a tragic novel. Born into royalty, she married Louis Philippe I, who would later become the citizen king of France. Their reign came at a time when monarchies were falling apart across Europe, and the people's voice was louder than ever before. Her sapphire tiara, one of the stolen pieces, was more than a symbol of elegance. It was a declaration of dignity in an era where crowns no longer guaranteed safety. Crafted in the 1830s, the tiara shimmered with deep blue sapphires framed by clusters of white diamonds. Each stone was carefully selected to reflect the royal colors of France: blue for loyalty, white for faith, and gold for strength. Marie-Amélie wore this tiara during state receptions and portraits, where every sparkle represented a fragile hope that the monarchy could coexist with modern France. Crowds stormed Paris, and the royal family was forced into exile. She left France heartbroken, escaping under the cover of night, her jewels hastily packed in wooden trunks. The tiara eventually resurfaced decades later and became part of the Louvre's imperial jewelry collection. Now once again it's vanished almost poetically like the monarchy it once crowned. The emerald set of Marie-Louise of Austria. The next stolen treasure tells a story of love, power, and politics. The emerald necklace and earrings of Marie-Louise of Austria, Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife. When Napoleon divorced his beloved Josephine for political reasons, he sought a union that could strengthen his empire. His marriage to Marie-Louise in 1810 united two rival nations, France and Austria, and symbolized peace between two empires that had been at war for years. To mark the occasion, Napoleon gifted her a breathtaking set of emerald jewels, each stone a symbol of rebirth, renewal, and hope for the future. The necklace featured 32 flawless emeralds, sourced from the mines of Colombia, framed by hundreds of small hand-cut diamonds. The matching earrings glimmered with the same royal brilliance. Marie-Louise adored these jewels. She wore them at diplomatic banquets, portraying the image of a young empress perfectly in control. But history had other plans. When Napoleon's empire crumbled, she fled to her homeland and later ruled Parma as Duchess far away from the French court. The emerald set remained silent witnesses to her rise and fall, eventually finding their way to the Louvre, until that fateful night in 2025, when they disappeared without a trace. Today, those same emeralds that once symbolized peace between nations are now at the center of a mystery that spans continents. The crown and bodice brooch of Empress Eugénie de Montijo. Few women in history embodied grace and glamour, like Empress Eugénie de Montijo, the wife of Napoleon III. Her name became synonymous with fashion, elegance, and influence. Paris in the mid-1800s was her stage, and her jewels, the spotlight. Among the stolen pieces were her emerald crown and a large diamond-studded bodice brooch. Both designed by the famed jeweler Gabriel Lemonnier. Eugénie loved emeralds. She considered them the stone of immortality. She wore them to signal her strength as empress, her sophistication as a woman, and her defiance against a world that often underestimated her. The crown itself was an artistic marvel, over 1,300 diamonds and 56 emeralds, each stone meticulously hand-set in gold and silver. The brooch pinned at her chest glittered like a heart of fire, catching the candlelight during royal banquets and state ceremonies. But when the Franco-Prussian War erupted in 1870, everything changed. Napoleon III was captured, and the empire collapsed overnight. Eugénie fled France, taking refuge in England. Many of her jewels were seized, others sold, and a few, like this crown, eventually made their way into the Louvre. And yet, even in exile, she remained proud, writing in her diary, "Crowns fall, but memory endures." Now, over a century later, her crown has fallen once more, this time into the shadows. The reliquary brooch. Among the more mysterious stolen pieces was the reliquary brooch, a small ornate ornament said to contain a fragment of a saint's relic. Unlike the others, this piece wasn't made to dazzle crowds. It was meant to protect the soul. Crafted in the early 1700s, its frame was made of pure gold, decorated with tiny diamonds forming a delicate cross. Inside, a hidden chamber was believed to hold a sacred relic, perhaps a sliver of bone or a thread from a saint's robe. It likely passed through royal chapels, private collectors, and eventually into the Louvre's possession. To the French monarchy, such items symbolized divine protection. Kings and queens often wore them not for beauty, but for faith, believing that heaven itself watched over their rule. Losing it, some historians say, isn't just a material loss. It's like losing a spiritual relic of France's sacred past. What remained behind? After the heist, investigators found something unexpected. Lying in the museum courtyard, partially wrapped in cloth, was the crown of Empress Eugénie, damaged but intact. Experts believe it may have been dropped during the thieves' escape, or perhaps intentionally abandoned because of its sheer weight, nearly 4 kilograms of gold, emeralds, and diamonds. The crown, with its broken frame and missing stones, now tells a new story, one of survival. Even stripped and wounded, it endures. Much like the empire it once represented, but everything else, gone. No clues, no ransom, no trace. The jewels, worth tens of millions, vanished as if swallowed by history itself. Legacy and reflection. These stolen jewels are more than lost treasures. They are chapters of France's royal history, written not in ink, but in gold, sapphire, and emerald. Each one witnessed moments of triumph and heartbreak, coronations, revolutions, secret loves, and royal downfalls. They've survived wars, exiles, revolutions, and now a 21st century heist. Some say they'll resurface in decades in private auctions or black market trades. Others believe they'll be dismantled, the stones sold separately, their stories lost forever. But perhaps there's a strange poetry in that. The jewels that once symbolized impermanence of power have vanished once again, as if reminding us that no crown, no empire, no beauty lasts forever. The Louvre may one day recover them, but even if it doesn't, the legends of the women who wore them will continue to sparkle in history's memory. The Louvre heist isn't just about stolen diamonds, it's about the fragility of history. Every jewel once told a story of power, love, and downfall. And now, those stories have slipped into the shadows once again. Maybe one day they'll be recovered, maybe not. But the echoes of those queens and empresses, Marie-Amélie, Marie-Louise, and Eugénie, still whisper through the halls of Paris. If you enjoyed diving into this hidden chapter of history, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell. This is Weird History Secrets, and until next time, keep your curiosity shining.